What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well. Now, for today's video, we've actually got a lot of news surrounding the casting of Jurassic Park 7. The next installment of the Jurassic World series is going to be directed by Gareth Edwards and written by David Koepp, the director of 2014's Godzilla and writer of Jurassic Park 1 and the Lost World Jurassic Park. This news is fresh and I've got a lot to say about it, but let's just go ahead and jump right in. So to make a long story short, Jonathan Bailey is now being reported to be in talks for the next Jurassic World movie. Apparently from this new article, Scarlet is also said to have already agreed to star in the film, and Bailey is now said to be joining the cast. The role is actually said to be one of the leads, so I'm assuming opposite to Johansson. Now, unlike Scarlet, Bailey isn't really as prominent of an actor in terms of facial recognition just yet, which means that they're not just looking for big league recognizable faces and stars for the next film, which was something people were kind of afraid of after the whole Jurassic World trilogy ended. You know, you don't want to stuff like a bunch of Marvel characters into this because everybody knows who they are. Scarlett Johansson, I think, is fine. I actually like her in a lot of more action and serious oriented roles. Jonathan Bailey, don't know too much about him just yet, but with that being said, there is also news of the casting for the lead villain in the movie. Colman Domingo is now being rumored for Jurassic World 4 and is apparently going to be the bad guy if he accepts. No real info on what that role could be, just like the news with Jonathan Bailey and honestly with Scarlett Johansson too. So at this point, we have around 3 names for the next movie. No real solid information on the story whatsoever, but the cold hard facts of the matter are that this will be a movie Gareth Edwards is planning to shoot in Thailand and Malta, which apparently he did some work with the creator in a few of those locations. The story will allegedly be set after Dominion, and it won't really have too much of a connection with the previous Jurassic World trilogy as far as actors go, with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard probably not going to be in this at all, and neither is anyone else from the older movies. There's no information on what kind of dinosaurs are going to be in this movie just yet, but there is also some information that came out a while ago about it being a prequel set on one of the islands, possibly filming in Hawaii. As far as I know, and I've said this before, but I don't think that's the case anymore, unfortunately. This seems to be something very, very different. Now, if we're talking about a movie set in the real world again, with dinosaurs loose all over the place, I think these actors are going to be playing the roles of scientists, whether it be paleontological or genetics-based, special trained armed forces perhaps, you know, they could be that, or maybe some kind of greedy business people. Now, the reason I put these 3 roles up for speculation, the business people, the armed forces, or the scientists, is because, look, this is a Jurassic Park movie, and that's just kind of what they do. Scarlett Johansson, I could see playing a role similar to that of Dr. Sarah Harding from the Lost World Jurassic Park, and Jonathan Bailey kind of looks like a similar type in terms of, you know, science-based characters. He's just kind of got the look, but to be real with you guys, I'm not sure what kind of role Domingo could be playing at all. If he is indeed the bad guy in the next movie, that means that he might be playing someone trying to exploit dinosaurs, again, because it's a Jurassic Park movie, or maybe it's something like a villainous soldier character. Now, the reason I say that is because if you look at typical Jurassic Park villains like Dennis Nedry, Peter Ludlow, Vic Hoskins, Eli Mills, these are all typically guys that just want a big paycheck or to get their own financial aspirations fixed in the plots of the movies. Vic Hoskins is a little different because he's more interested in furthering weapon development on the dinosaurs, but I don't think Domingo is gonna be that kind of guy at all because that's just been done to death now with the sequels to Jurassic World. So I actually would much prefer the kind of roles of villains like Dieter Stark or Ken Wheatley, to be honest. In fact, I kind of don't want to see any sort of over-the-top villain in a Jurassic Park movie because I really think the more nuanced approach of people being a little less evil and more just misguided is way more interesting. Take Dr. Wu, for example, who everyone thought was going to, at the very least, get his great death scene from Michael Crichton's book in the last movie, but it never happened, and they kind of turned him into an overly good guy in Dominion, whereas they have other characters that are overly bad. It's just, in reality, he wasn't a very wicked or evil dude. and he was just misguided in his selfish ambition to innovate on the genetic frontier. That's the kind of villain idea that works the best for Jurassic, I think, but again, they didn't really do that justice, so I'm hoping they go away from that sort of Dominion tone and more in line with an older school approach.
Look out! Down!
A couple of years ago, there was a movie with Idris Elba that came out called Beast, about lions, and it was from Universal, I think. That was a great, like, safari Lost World style movie, and Idris Elba was actually the star, but it had this feel of like a more primal Jurassic experience, of more animalistic behavior. I would like to see these characters kind of jump into something like that, and if Domingo is going to be in this movie as the bad guy, well, look, there's something about dinosaur wranglers that get shredded that just seems more cool to me. Although, if he's playing the role of a more anti-hero kind of guy, look man, you can't go wrong with the kind of thespian acting from Pete Postlethwaite as Roland Tembo in The Lost World. But again, we're gonna have to wait and see. I'd actually prefer it if he was some kind of brand new bad guy, like a rival paleontologist who hates InGen clones and thinks they're all monsters and wants to do away with them, or maybe an eco-terrorist that wants to save all the poor helpless dinosaurs without any regard for human life. You know, show the kind of like hippie guy that's like, oh, we gotta save the dinosaurs, and then he's the bad guy because people are getting killed. That just sounds like uncharted territory for a more bad guy kind of person for Jurassic Park, and I think they can handle that and have a lot of fun with it really, really well. With that being said, guys, we don't really have any information on what these roles could be at all. I'm very interested to see how they're going to fit into the new movie, because again, story is so sparse. Now, my biggest concern with this film is honestly that I'm not so sure where you can go with dinosaurs all over the place if you refuse to end the story at a different place in which you started. Mainly like Dominion, where we kind of start off with dinosaurs everywhere, all over the world, just like the end of Fallen Kingdom, but then we end with them having no real ecological impact on society or the world at large. It literally starts and ends the same place, with only the locusts being something that gets resolved. If you want a great roadmap for what kind of good science fiction trilogy should be like that focuses on intelligent animals overtaking the Earth, check out the newer Planet of the Apes movies. Those are a great template that I really think Jurassic could use to its advantage as a franchise, because if we're just going to spin our tires pretending like the story doesn't need to go anywhere and things need to just stay the same now that the dinosaurs have escaped all over the place, well, look, I just don't really think that's too interesting personally. I did a video yesterday on why Jurassic Park Survival, the new video game project, might actually be important for the future of this franchise, because they're going back to 1993, they're trying to set it on Isla Nublar directly after the events of the original Jurassic Park, and usually they put games out that line up directly with the releases of a new movie. So I'm hoping that this is kind of a redirect for the franchise, and if you want me to really go into details, check that video out from yesterday, because I talk a lot about what it could mean if the franchise is going back to basics. But when it comes to this casting news, that's just it, guys. It's just news. I don't really know what the plan is for this film, but they're going to start shooting very, very soon. With all of that being said, what do you think these characters are going to be like in the next movie? This is pretty much all we got, guys. These are the three names that are being talked about heavily for JP7, and what do you think about the villainous role? Like, what does that mean? If he's the bad guy in the movie, is he just going to be a greedy corporate businessman, or are they going to do something different for the film? I gotta say, I do like seeing dinosaur soldier characters get attacked and eaten, and I'm just speaking off the top of my head here. If you guys have ever seen The Abyss, Michael Bihn's character that starts off pretty normal, but then slowly deteriorates from the pressure of being in that underwater environment and just goes haywire nuts. I would love that in a Jurassic Park movie. And yeah, I've said enough. Whatever your own thoughts and opinions on all of this new information happens to be, I'd love to hear all about them in the comments down below. Now, before I go, I want to thank everyone that's helped me build my channel over the years. I'd also like to thank every one of you guys who've watched my stuff. You've all been extremely cool to me. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a like and hope that you'll consider subscribing. God bless you all. Christ is King. See you guys in the next video, and as always, take it easy.